Good afternoon again, John Verlin with On-Demand Advertising Solutions, another digital marketing update. Last week I talked about how to make your business or firm like a rock star. Now, my background actually, I grew up with the band Shooting Star. That was a classic rock band in 1980. They signed to Virgin Records. They were the first American band. My brother was the bass player. I grew up with the lead guitar player Van and his brother. We all grew up together as kids. They used to rehearse in our basement for several years. I used to work with them in the summers selling merchandise for them. So I've seen a little bit of the promotional side of what it takes to be a rock star. And I want to apply that analogy to your firm or your business because you can do the same thing today. Everything you do, as you probably know in business, you build it. It takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. And the same thing is true with those who have become famous. You look at the Beatles, it took them 10 years of playing clubs in Hamburg and around Liverpool to get honed in their craft. And they got lucky. They had a producer who actually produced classical records, not pop, had a sound to create for them. And Paul McCartney himself has said there were several songs that were terrible. Matter of fact, they actually had released several songs off their first or second album early on another label, went to America or released them, they bombed, and that's why they didn't want to come to America till they had a number one hit, because they'd already experienced that failure. And then they came out with I Want to Hold Your Hand. But as a rock star, and the things they do, I mean, you typically start out, you record a content piece, an album, so to speak. You get airplay. It's promoted. Hopefully people will call in, request more. Other radio stations will pick it up. This is the process, and then I'm going to tie it into growing your firm or your business. Airplay is then shared as other stations hear about it. They want to have listeners, so they go ahead and they start playing that music. People go into the stores, they want to buy it. That word of that gets back to the radio stations and or to the record label. The demand picks up. The group then goes on tour and starts selling merchandise while they're on tour. They end up possibly winning awards, going to number one, and now they're becoming, quote, famous. And then you repeat all that. Okay? That's kind of the process in a nutshell. But think about people in the past. They got famous. Elvis Presley comes to mind, goes to the army, gets out of the army, 2 or 3 years later, and he's worried. He's afraid the fans have forgotten him because the Beatles have come onto the scene, and now he doesn't know what to do. And so the Colonel does the 68 comeback special, and that could have bombed. And that would have been the last of Elvis. So you think about these people, Madonna, who have reinvented themselves, and they have to keep doing it. Now, one who I think is great is Paul McCartney. Several months ago, there was a tweet. Paul McCartney singing in the airport in Orlando. Is he possibly going to be doing another world tour starting there? There's a picture of Paul waving on a little video clip. He's constantly in the media. Just like the Kardashians. Somebody is constantly creating content and promoting it to keep their name fresh, front and center. Otherwise, they end up like Bobby Vinton or whoever. You forget about it. And this is the same thing when it comes to your firm or a business to make you a rock star. Jonathan Long had a piece in Entrepreneur in April that I'm going to share some of his thoughts with you as well, because it goes right hand in hand with this of what it takes to get promoted and get known on social media. And this has helped how to build your business. He talks about becoming a industry thought leader. And this is where blogging is so important, because the blog is your radio station. And a lot of businesses overlook this. They think it's more of a diary and a hassle. But the blog allows you to post podcasts, video, or written content so you become known for what you're known for. Now, ideally, and this is ideally, you want another blogger or another online magazine to pick up that post and print it or run it. Suddenly now you're reaching a bigger audience and you're becoming known as a thought leader in that industry. Okay, and suddenly you start getting other publications or blogs picking it up and retweeting it or whatever, and it can possibly go viral at some point, but you're getting a bigger audience. People start coming in now and they know about you. And now you got some numbers to talk about for your next thing you do. That's the ideal, but that's hard. And you might even have a partnership where you pay them to feature you. Years ago, and they still call it product placement. You see a Coke bottle in a movie, well, Coke paid a big price for that exposure. So that's the idea of being known for what you're known for. Okay, and if you're a rock band, what kind of band are you? A funk? Are you a rhythm and blues? You've got to be known for what you're known for. Shooting Star was classic rock, Midwestern classic rock, to be precise. So you got to have a genre. You got to fit into whatever that is. And the blog is your radio station that allows you to put your content on there to be accessible to the, quote, listeners or your prospects. Another thing you can do is publish case studies and results. And case studies could be anything from what you've done with your business, the successes you've had. And again, this could be tying in your customers or your patients or your clients, talking about how they've benefited from what you've done. It's going to go hand in hand with the testimonial that we'll mention here in a minute, but it's putting that information out and the results it yielded on your blog, whether it's through this type of format, a podcast, a written chart, an infographic, a video testimonial, however you want to do it. Prospects then can go online on your blog and see what you've done, and those people you've mentioned or have been talked about in that as a case study, they're going to tell other people about the fact that they're on your blog or your podcast or your video, and they're going to refer that to other people they know. So now you're getting second and third layers of people coming to your blog to learn about that because they know that person. And that's a huge asset in terms of future referrals. So you definitely want to do that. Feature a case study and what happened, the results of that from working with a customer, a client, whomever. Now, Mr. Long brings up the point of this third one, and that's making your client list public. I have mixed feelings about that because I know a lot of people, there's non-disclosure agreements. A lot of businesses, when I was in radio, did not want people to know what they were doing because they spent a lot of money figuring it out, how to make it work. But if you can get people, your customers or your clients, to be listed on your blog or on your website, that helps people who are prospects to decide if they should do business with you. And, if nothing else, maybe you just have some people that know you, business people, commenting about your character, your professionalism, whatever that is. Because some people do not want to give testimonials because they don't want competitors to find out what they're doing. Okay. And then focus on your specialty. I know that lawyers have a certain area of law they practice. Doctors a certain specialty. Focus in on what you do best. Don't be too broad. You either make the best cheeseburger in town, 3/4 pounds with sauerkraut, pickle, onion rings. It's loaded, or you just make a hamburger and you're like everybody else. So you have to differentiate by having a specialty. And then feature your clients or customers in your marketing. Again, this is about the best thing you can do is getting testimonials and then putting that on your blog, promoting those things. Now that you've got your blog with content and you're becoming known for what you're known for, you then promote it through social media or advertising or however you want to. And this is why all of this is so important to work together with hopefully a website you have. Because you've got to have the radio station to play the hit or the music to get the people to want it, to come into the store, to buy it, to then allow you to go on the road, so to speak, and become even bigger and to get written up and then win awards, and then you start it all over again. So that's the analogy to the rock star thing, but it's the same kind of processes of content tied into who you are, what you are, getting known for that, getting people referring it, and this all ties into future referrals. And this is how you can generate that and turbocharge it by putting these things on your blog and then promoting them. Because of the platforms we have today, as I mentioned earlier, you have your own TV station, radio station, newspaper, everything to put content on, and you can also promote it or have somebody do that. Now, it takes a lot of work. Okay, but this is all part of how to build referrals for the future and get known and become, quote, a rock star with your audience. Now they see you and they go, wow, this business is really pretty hot, and word will spread, not just on the internet, but word of mouth too. It all ties in. And that's how you can get your small business or your firm to be known as a rock star, with the same types of promotion, same types of elements that are involved in creating a rock group and getting them famous. And it's a daily thing. You don't just tweet out a little bit. You're doing it all the time. You're doing this ongoing. That's why they hired publicists and promotion people for films that come out and new albums that are out. It takes a lot of money and a lot of time and effort to be consistent. In this case today, because of these platforms and all, it's much easier for a smaller business to do these things, but you got to commit to it. So, John Verlin is my name, jverlin1@yahoo.com. Those are the 4 things you can do to make your business a rock star. And I encourage you to start doing them and experimenting, because you'll begin to see. Check out my website. It's ondemandadvertisingsolutions.com. You'll see what I'm talking about, hopefully. You'll see the blog. You'll see the podcast. You get to listen to them. I won't go into it now, but podcasts allow you to place them on other sites as well to get further exposure, as well as video exposure on other sites like YouTube, and get that type of online exposure. It all works together. So if you have questions, feel free to email me, jverlin1@yahoo.com. Check out ondemandadvertisingsolutions.com, and we will talk to you next week.